recording the call here and go through what we're going to cover today. So, our main goal is to kind of work with you to try to help the experience of help unpacking your experience. It kind of takes a lot of processing personally to really go through what you learned this summer, professionally, personally, what all the takeaways are. Sometimes you have your revelations immediately, sometimes it takes a couple weeks, might be a year. And then we're going to talk about how you can work to kind of integrate your global experience when you're looking and looking for new opportunities and have different interviews for future internships or jobs in your career. And then also briefly cover what it looks like to be a SageCore alumni. Once a part of SageCore, always a part of SageCore. So we do encourage you to, yeah, stay involved with us. Make sure that you know that we are a resource for you if you have questions. If you need us to kind of take a peek at your resume, you can always reach out and let us know, and we're happy to give you any advice possible. But to kick off with unpacking your experience, um, there are a few things of just kind of housekeeping items. I know we always encourage to send kind of thank you emails or notes to the people that you met, that you worked with, your supervisors, your colleagues. If you haven't done that already, it's never too late to say, hey, just got home. I'm, settled back in, really reflecting on what an awesome experience I had this summer. Thank you so much. Those are always great to receive. So if you haven't sent those, don't think that you missed your window of opportunity. Please continue and say thank you. Also, this is the time to go out and connect with people on LinkedIn. Make sure that you're building up your network. Is it someone that you met at in the co-working space at a coffee shop? Is it someone that you, have worked with every day? Make sure that you are, connecting with anyone and everyone. You can always connect with a note and just kind of reintroduce yourself to someone who maybe doesn't know you super well. But you don't have to be best friends with someone to connect with them on LinkedIn. It's just a way to kind of grow that network. So send a quick note and make those connections while they are kind of top of your mind. It's also a great idea to, if you had a great relationship with your supervisor, you ended everything on a positive note, you can email your supervisor and say, would you be open to writing me a recommendation or a reference on LinkedIn? And then you can just go through LinkedIn and actually request that reference. It is really great to get those if you can. Back in the day, I would always have to ask for like a general letter from my supervisor that I would like keep as a like PDF. I had to like scan it in because I'm old. But having those references that are easy, if you were applying through LinkedIn for a job, for an internship, or just connecting with people, those are public, so you can take a look and see what people say about someone. So if your supervisor would be open to writing you one, that's always something that is good to ask. Well, all of the magic and wonder that you worked on this summer is kind of still top of mind for them. It is also the time to start thinking about how you are going to frame your own narrative. So I know in the exit interviews, we talk a little bit about this as well, but there's only about 3% of US university students that study abroad. It is about less than 1% that have international work experience. So even though you are a part of a program where lots of people were interning and working, what you did, what you achieved is rare and is not common. So we want to make sure that you are aware of that and that you're thinking about how you can, process your own experience into your own elevator pitch. And I'll pass it over to Alex.
Yeah, thanks. So, like Shannon said, less than 1% of students have meaningful international work experience when they graduate. You now have something that differentiates you, but that doesn't actually get you the job. It gets your resume put in the next pile and you get the interview, and that's awesome. But you've got to be able to talk about it. So, saying I interned last summer in Amsterdam does not give us the story. You need to think about, I'm just going to give you some examples to think about, maybe jot this down. Think about the beginning of the summer versus today. So, what has changed? What did you learn about yourself? What surprised you? What are you better at now than you were 8 weeks ago? And what did living and working internationally teach you that you couldn't have learned in a classroom? And so that we're going to use that information to create an elevator pitch, a 30-second story. I still practice elevator pitches to this day. When you're in a networking event or just bopping around town, when you're at barbecues with your family, for example, and someone comes up to you and asks, like, tell me about what you did. And like you're going to be moving around a lot. So have a 30-second story ready. You never know who could hire you next. So, what did you do this summer? And it should sound something like this. This summer, I spent 8 weeks in Amsterdam working with an early stage tech startup, and I worked in digital marketing. It was such a small team. I was given a lot of independence and took ownership of several projects. I strengthened my marketing skills. I learned how to take initiative, and I worked with ambiguity and communicate in a different cultural environment. That is something that I just put together, and you just practice that like that. When I was 20 and still to this day would practice that, something like that in front of the mirror, and be ready to pitch it. So Amsterdam is the setting, and then the growth is your story. So I'm going to give you guys a minute and 2 minutes. And then some of you guys, we'd like you to kind of make your own elevator pitch and then present it. So it's 18, it's almost 20 after, so I'll give you 2 minutes, okay? All right. Dun, 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 dun. 60 more seconds. Okay, let's see. Anyone want to volunteer first to give us their 30-second story? What would you say if you were at a networking event and someone asked your name, and what you did last summer or what you did this summer? Let's say you're at a networking event at university in this September.
I can start it off.
Like, oh,
Okay. All right, Rachel, and then whoever said next. So go ahead.
Yeah, so I was working in Berlin at a startup, a pre-launch fintech startup. During my time there, I worked on their go-to-market strategy and also improving the customer experience across different platforms. While I was there, I really learned how to um, work adaptively on my feet with the small area of a pre-launch startup. I learned lots of tools for implementing into my now day-to-day life, and I learned what type of work really energizes me.
Awesome. Love it. That's great. Okay, who else volunteered?
Me.
Okay,
I spent the summer in Paris working at a tour agency. I got to see what is put into creating the tours, to planning the tours, what actually has to be done so that the tours are fun and exciting. I got to see the chaos behind running a business, and I got to assist in creating those tours and helping out on those tours and working on paint workshops. Most of the stuff that I've learned throughout the summer, I now try to implement in my life. And I try to understand that no matter how chaotic everything is, you can still make something out of it and still be successful.
fantastic. Anyone else want to volunteer for their summer, their
I can
elevator
go.
pitch? Okay, Bailey.
This summer I worked in Amsterdam at an AI startup called Rex AI for 8 weeks. As a business development intern, I worked on developing messaging and empathy matrices for different populations and determined what work needs to be done to establish effective communication with those groups. This culminated in building external internal communication templates, as well as planning and implementing a LinkedIn marketing strategy, teaching me valuable skills such as taking initiative, communicating with dynamic groups, content creation, as well as working individually and hybrid.
Fantastic. Yeah, a bit of remote work. All right. Anyone else? And we can go, you can still take time and think about this. You can also include any funny anecdotes as well to throw in there. I think practicing overall what you've got now is great. And then anything, any cultural differences, anything awkward that happened that's humorous, I always think is good to add. Okay.
Sure, love it. Awesome. It is something that is, yeah, as Alex said, like kind of practicing in front of the mirror. It is one of those like kind of awkward things, but it is, yeah, as you know, you never know when you're gonna meet someone that's gonna refer you to someone else that they know. Or I got my first job because I did an informational interview, and she was like, "I really like you. You should ch also chat with my college roommate." And
Mm.
I met with her. Like you just kind of like go through the yeah, through the tunnel, so you never know who you're gonna meet there. So yeah, having a fun, yeah, fun memorable story is always good. We will also be sending out an alumni handbook for you this week. It is like a million pages. It is mainly there just to be a resource for you that you can use and reference when you're prepping for interviews, when you're updating your resume, when you're going through things, but just to kind of highlight a few different things that we cover in the handbook. Um, some of you have already written beautiful LinkedIn posts reflecting on your experience. It is something that, if you feel comfortable with, it is a great idea to do. If you're looking for examples, you can actually, a lot of students tag SageCore. So if you just go to our LinkedIn, you can kind of see what posts we've been tagged in to get some ideas. But writing a reflection on kind of your own personal experience, what you've learned, or in kind of a thank you post for the experience and where you tag your supervisors or your company. Yeah, it's always a good option. So something to kind of think about if you have photos to add or upload with your experience. Of course, kind of the more professional ones. That is always, yeah, that's always a great option. But we love seeing those posts. And it's nice to kind of add to your LinkedIn page. Like you don't need to have, a ton of activity in in your LinkedIn profile. But it is nice to say, oh, this person, whatever reflected here. And they can learn a bit more about what you did.
Can I jump in on that
Yeah.
really quick?
Mhm.
So the reasons to tag supervisors and people that you worked with, every time you tag someone, when they're tagged, that post shows up in their like environments. What do I want to say? Like within their
Network.
Network.
network. Thank you, network. It shows up within their network. So every tag you're put in, if they have 1,000 followers, like it'll pop up in their networks feed. So like not just supervisors, but the company, like just tagging people is great. Obviously, don't tag half the team if you don't really, it didn't really work with them, but all of those people that you tag, you are exposed to so many more networks, including SageCore as well. If you can tag me, if I was your program manager, Shannon. So like, anyways, just that's why that's so important, not
Mhm.
because of we want to be popular, but
Absolutely.
because it really puts you into more networks. Yeah,
Mhm.
and it gives you more exposure.
For sure. And updating your resume and also with LinkedIn, we recommend you kind of sit and write down everything that you did this summer. Keep it saved on a document on your computer. Pull out kind of the top three, four bullets of what you worked on this summer. But as you're looking to kind of apply for specific jobs, you might notice, oh, these are actually like the big things that I think I learned, but they're looking for someone who can do this. I also have a project there. So then it's kind of easier for you to flip out and customize those bullets depending on the jobs that you're applying for. It's also helpful to remember some of the smaller tasks that are easy to forget. Maybe like, oh, I only did that one day, but you still did it. You have experience with it. So yeah, write it down to remind yourself of, yeah, all the things that you worked on and that you did. I know some people mentioned they did sales as well as marketing. So like that those bullets are going to be kind of customizable depending on the role that you are applying for. So yeah, make sure that you're writing out everything that you did. And then as you're going into this experience, you want to figure out how you can also build out longer examples and kind of a framework for how you can explain what you're working on. AI is wonderful and it's great that people, yeah, got a lot more comfortable, I think, using it this summer in a lot of cases. The number one piece of feedback that we get from supervisors is that it's great to use AI, but like the student has to be able to explain what they learned or what they did. So make sure that if you're putting your kind of tasks into AI and they're spitting it out into resume bullets for you, which is great. Make sure that you can actually do that. Sometimes ChatGPT or Gemini have an idea of really like amping things up in a way that is great, that enhances what you did, or kind of changing it completely. So anything that's on your resume, you want to be able to, actually showcase and share a story about why and how you, yeah, did and completed something. So just a warning about AI in the resume piece. It's also great to update it more on your LinkedIn profile if you want to put a paragraph below when you're adding, your work experience, adding what you did, and kind of tagging those kind of keywords on what you learned. It's a great way to kind of start building up your LinkedIn profile as well. If you did do anything with kind of like graphics or video editing or anything in that way where it would be helpful to kind of add that work to your portfolio, definitely do that. It's also kind of good practice to email your supervisor and say, hello, I'm wondering if I can add this to my work portfolio. A lot of times the supervisors say, yes, absolutely. Can you just take our branding off it? Or, can you sub in different branding just for kind of confidentiality reasons? So if you are adding something to your profile, definitely, yeah, make sure that it is kind of approved by the company. And then you can also list SageCore as well as your internship. So everyone's internship experience will look a little bit different on the resume under kind of the work experience. But if you do want to add SageCore to your resume, you can add it under education. So this is just an example of what that could look like if you are interested in, yeah, adding it kind of in two places. So just something to think about. But for next steps for interviews, and when you're learning to kind of answer questions in super detailed ways that really highlight the experience that you had. I know a lot of people in the elevator pitches that we heard mentioned kind of dynamic environments. Startups are a bit chaotic. All of that is something that is super unique to be able to share that you were working on. So when you are, yeah, kind of coming back from your time, reflect on both your personal growth as well as your professional growth. Think about challenges that you overcame. So, what's something either personally or professionally that was a challenge for you, and something that you, yeah, worked through. So, it was maybe successful on the other end, or you learned what didn't work and what you can do differently next time. And then practice how, yeah, how to say it. So similar to an elevator pitch, but just kind of work on those more specific examples of work or kind of what you, yeah, overcame in the internship.
Mm.
Classic questions are that interviewers will likely give you is tell me about a time that you owned something from start to finish. We heard about that, how cool it is to see that you started a project, you finished it, and they might have implemented it or, yeah, rolled it out in their product. Tell me about a time that you handled a miscommunication well. So that could be something easily, lots of cultural miscommunications perhaps happened. Or what is a professional achievement that you are proud of? So, yeah, also something maybe you were given a task and you had, yeah, no knowledge on it. How did you learn about it, finish it? How did you know when to ask questions? Those are all things you want to kind of think about. So we can take another kind of couple minutes. I think it would be helpful to hear kind of if there were challenges that people faced and how they overcame them. If we can kind of focus on that piece, if you want to take a minute or two to, yeah, think about a challenge and.
And it doesn't have to just be professional. This can be cultural as well. Any
Mhm.
cultural challenges that you faced. Both are great and
Yeah.
both are part of being abroad.
So I'll just give you a couple minutes. Do about another minute. And if you aren't in a place where you can speak, but you want to share, you can also drop it in the chat. Does anyone have something that's kind of top of mind for a challenge or a problem that they overcame?
I see a hand. Josh.
Yeah, so my boss actually had he had a baby halfway through my
Ooh.
internship. So
Mm.
our co-founder had a baby,
Mm.
and so um, I was kind of thrown more into the chaos. As at the start, it was kind of just me doing marketing by myself, kind of free reign. I would just have to get it approved through him, and most of the time it would be approved and then implemented. Most of it was just LinkedIn posts. But then after, because he was our main sales guy anyway, um, me and another guy had to then end up doing all the sales stuff for the company as well. And so it kind of felt like I was less like an intern and more of like a full-time employee because I was then like going from like doing marketing, which was kind of whatever, to like actually having like real implications on how the company would perform for the duration that he was gone.
Mm-hmm.
So that
Yeah.
was a unique experience.
Mm-hmm. Thrown
Very
in. Yeah. Awesome.
I can go.
perfect.
So, something I found interesting, this is more of a cultural aspect, was going to Germany. I am in no way fluent in German. I know very little and more so now than when I
Mm-hmm.
arrived. With that being said, the places that I decided to go eat were not just your touristy places that speak English. I was like, while I'm there, I want to try like the good stuff, the things that the locals eat. Well, needless to say, a lot of those shops spoke no English whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And when you finally get up to the counter, it's a popular place, there's a line behind you. You don't speak German, they don't speak English. It was a lot of charades and pointing at things. You didn't necessarily have enough time to pull out your phone and try to Google Translate. Um, and so one of the biggest things I learned is to ask and ask people in line, can anyone speak English? And if no one can, you point at things. You use signals, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Mm-hmm.
You want more, you figure it out. And I think that has been one of the craziest yet most fun experiences, being able to actually go ahead and figure it out. And sometimes you don't know what you're going to get in the end, but you just eat it. And more times than not, it was something that was absolutely delicious, and I had no idea what it was.